So I think in many ways, the situation has created an opportunity for HR practitioners to step forward. There would have been a lot of challenge, and the situation that we've seen over the last 3 months has very much been a human crisis, whereas those of us who remember 2007, 2008, that was a financial crisis. And I'm seeing HR practitioners push to the fore across a range of different areas, and some of those will have carved out a larger space for themselves within their organisations. And my very strong hope is that they'll continue to play those roles. But for others, they will have seen themselves maybe unable to have influenced that organisation. So it's really going to be a very different experience depending on how you've navigated over the last 2 or 3 months. So I think there have been 2 ways in which we've learned more about the social impact of organisations over the last 2 or 3 months. In many ways, we've had to focus on individuals. So no one person has experienced the pandemic in the same way as anyone else, depending on whether you've got children, whether you're caring for vulnerable relatives, whether you've been furloughed, whether you've lost your job, whether you're a key worker, whether you've been working from home. And so I hope that level of focus on genuine inclusion and individuality will continue. And at the other end, you've got the broader sort of macro sense where investors, and I think society as a whole, will be looking at organisations and say, what decisions did you make? How did you treat your workforce? Did you take government money? And therefore making decisions on what they then feel is equitable and fair in terms of dividend policy or executive reward. So both a macro and micro kind of influence in terms of our social purpose and the way in which organisations exist in society. So we've been very conscious as we've gone through this at Severn Trent to make sure that we're making decisions based on not just one set of stakeholders, but a broader range of stakeholders, including the community, society, and shareholders. So things like committing to continue our work experience programs, committing to the same number of apprentices, trying to find new ways in which we can bring young people into the organisation who may have been impacted through their education and in society, focusing on vulnerable colleagues that we have and supporting them, and also recognising that for many of our employees it's been an uncertain and difficult time. And so making commitments to a 3-year pay deal that they can understand how their pay will increase over the next 3 years, making commitments about not furloughing and not making any redundancies, so that people just have a real level of clarity and understanding that even if their partners or members of family are going through change, they can hopefully rely a little bit on those commitments to allow them to feel slightly more reassured.